Have you ever heard the saying, dot and dab? I'm going to dot and dab the walls. Lies! It's all lies! Nobody does dot and dabbing. And I'd go as far as saying 90% of people, even plasterers, don't know how to dot and dab. In this video, I'm going to show you how to dot and dab a wall. And I'm going to show you why you shouldn't even bother doing it. So this video isn't about how to cut plasterboards. So I'm not going to talk you through how to use a tape and knife to cut the boards and all that caper. We're just going to speed through this little bit now and get to the good bit. All you need to know is that you need to cut your plasterboards, tack them to the wall, as you usually do, with a little nail and pencil mark around them so you can see where the boards are going to fit. So, I'll tell you a little funny story. See the tool I've just used then? The multi-tool. I had this lad work for me years ago, and I started using a multi-tool because if you've ever cut through sound block boards on the building sites, then any plasterer will tell you that they're an absolute nightmare. They're dead tough. So I bought this multi-tool, right, to cut through the boards dead easy. Now, I had this young lad working with me, and he had his own vocabulary for everything. He just gave everything its own name that he chose. So, for instance, I told him for years it's called a spot board. He just kept calling it a table. My measuring tape, I'd take it as the tape and knife. He called the tape a ruler. He just called things its own name. Anyway, the multi-tool, he decided that was called the vibrator because it vibrates when it cuts. He's an innocent lad. He genuinely is innocent. He just called it the vibrator. So he goes on this little foreigner, this little private job, and it's for an old fella. And I'm cutting away in the living room, cutting the walls. And the lad says to me, "Do you want me to go and get the vibrator off the van?" Well, the old boy, he was in the room, wasn't he? He was listening. So his ears picked up. So he's intrigued. He said, "What do you use the vibrator for?" So the lad says, "He uses it to make holes in the boards." Now, I should have intervened, right, and put the matter straight. But I didn't. I just kept quiet because I thought, I want to see where this is going to go, you know. So anyway, I said to him, no, don't worry about it. I'll do this one by hand. Meaning I'll cut it with the knife. So this old boy, anyway, I never put him straight. I just carried on and cut it with the knife. But somewhere out there's an old fella that thinks that I've got a vibrator for making holes in plasterboards. Anyway, let's keep it clean. This is a family show, so let's just carry on with it. So there you go, let's just get all these boards cut, right? Flipping vibrator. Get all these boards cut, yeah? Get them, just tack them on the wall. I just put one clout nail in the board just so it doesn't fall over. Some plasterers will cut a board and they'll stick it and they'll cut the next one and stick it and sort of cut and stick as they go. I sort of cut the whole wall out, pin it all in place so I know it all fits, then take it all off and then stick it on. Doesn't really make a difference at this point, but this is how I do it. Get all the wall cut out. And yeah, I'm speeding it up. We're going 10 times faster than what I did in real life. It'd be great if I could work at this speed, but it's just like cutting a jigsaw puzzle, you know, only you're making your own pieces, so it is easy. Just take your time doing all these little awkward cuts of the slopes and what have you, and the bits and bobs to go round them. Here we go. Now, seems like you're all watching, hopefully this will fit first time. Because usually you cut these and the angle's a mile off, so it is worth just taking your time, measuring everything out. We're just doing a little conservatory on this job. It would have been great to show you this on a massive wall, but I have to sort of work with what I've got, you know, and I wanted to make this video, and I only had a little wall, so I'll show you it on this instead. Oh, by the way, if anyone's picked up any eagle-eyed plasterers, the brickwork on this wall's been painted. Now, if you don't already know this, if a brick wall's been painted, you've got to seal it before you put the adhesive on. Adhesive sticks to absolutely everything. Don't get it in your hair. It doesn't come out. Adhesive will stick to everything apart from paint. So you've been warned, don't learn the hard way. Right, so this is how you dot and dab a wall. Everyone talks about dot and dabbing. You're going to go and dot and dab. Listen, they don't. They don't. They're all talking nonsense. I'll show you how you dot and dab a wall. Right? First of all, you see me cut the wall out. Come here, Kieran, come and show them this. You mark all your boards out so you know where they all land, where they all finish. Now that's what you'd normally do. That's what everybody normally does. Then again, I have seen people do one board at a time and they work along. But anyway, most people do it like this. Now here's the big difference. You're going to start at the top corner of the wall. First of all, this wall's flat, so we don't have to worry about it. But if the wall was all over the place, you'd find the highest spot and you'd start at the highest spot. Put a little dab there. And take, you can use a piece of plasterboard. They used to use lath, the old boys. And if you didn't know, that's why that's called a lath hammer, and that's why it's got an axe on the side of it, because they used to use little timber strips, and that was for cutting them to the right size. So your plasterer's hammer, cut yourself a little piece of something. I'm just using window packers because I never do this. I'm just demonstrating to you how you would do it. I mean, I wouldn't even recommend doing this. If you're an absolute beginner, then this might be easier to do this than what it is to do it how most plasterers do it. But you take yourself a little piece of stuff like that and you set it on your wall there and make sure nothing's sticking over. Right? Then you dive it, leave it like it. I'll tell you what, actually, let's just make that one a little bit bigger. Let's make it a little bit louder. There. You put a blob at the top of the wall, a blob at the bottom of the wall, and you put your little packer, shall we call it, on there. Then you want to level your top one with your bottom one. Absolutely spot on. Make sure no adhesive is sort of sticking over in front of it. Make sure no adhesive is sticking out. You do that end. Can you imagine doing this every day? Definitely had a bigger level, wouldn't it? Just pressing that in until it's absolutely spot on. Those two pieces now, they're perfectly level with each other. So what you've got now is the four corners of your wall have got four dots, right? That's where your dot comes from in dot and dab. You've dotted your four corners. Now what you do then is let them set. Now once your dots and your four corners are set, you put a little nail on the outside of each dot, just past it about 1 inch. And then you can attach a string line to the nail, stretch it across the front of the dot, go right to the other side of the wall, stretch it across that dot and wrap it round the nail. That way you've got a perfectly straight string line that's running off the top of the 2 dots at the bottom of the wall. Now we know that all these dots are all in line and are levelled off this dot, which is over here. So they're all perfectly straight now. Then we repeat the process for the top. I'm going to try and show you this with one hand, so we'll just use this for now. Here we are. We've got the top dot with this top 2 dots, and there's the line pinged across like that. It's perfectly straight. There's where my board's going to go. So I'm going to put one here. I'm going to take there. It's just a gnat's hair back from the line, because you don't want it changing the shape of your line. And make sure there's no adhesive sticking over the edge of it. You repeat that process. I'm going to put one here because another board going there. And that is all the intermediate dots going in. There's our intermediate dabs at the bottom and the ones at the top. Now, all you have to do now is another row across the middle, and you can use your spit level to push it back until it's level with the top and the bottom ones on each one, all of them. And that will be your wall dotted, which will look like this. These 2 are level, this one in the middle. Put your level on there, push it back. You can line them ones. And this last one over here. There we go. Now, I know now all these dots from that side to that side, from the bottom, they're all perfectly straight and they're all perfectly plumb. That's your wall dotted, and you let that set. Perfect number. See my miserable face. This is the problem with working with your phone. Every time you're trying to record something, someone phones you. So it's a good opportunity to say this now. I've been putting a little link in my description there. If you enjoy the videos, if you think there's good content and you want to say thanks and buy me a beer, then there's a link in the description. Now, what I'm going to say was the amount of beers that people have bought me, I've been overwhelmed. So I want you to know this. I'm not going to waste the money. It's not going to go on the lash, because I've been so grateful, the amount of people that have chipped in and I hope and support a small channel like mine. So all I wanted you to know is the money won't go up the wall on the beer. Any donations that people send my way, I'm going to invest in buying a decent camera, and then we can not have all this nonsense of people flipping phoning me all the time. I'll be able to record better quality videos and probably do a better job of editing as well. So, hey, cheers. I'm truly humbled from the bottom of my heart. Everyone that's donated, thank you very much. Do appreciate it. So, on with the show. And just whilst we're on that note as well, there's no obligation. The link's in the description, but there's absolutely no obligation. If you just like this video, watch it, you know, flipping, I just appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. That's enough for me, really, to be honest with you. Now, you can just see I'm levelling in some higher up dots, making sure they're all spot on. Now, this is fantastic. If you're a beginner and you've never stuck plasterboards to a wall before, this is a bit of a fail-safe way. You can't really go wrong doing this. I mean, sometimes when you're sticking a board on, you can push it too far back. There can be things going on behind the board that you can't see. This way just gives you You know, it takes a lot more time. This is so time consuming. No plasterers I know would ever do this because it takes twice as long. But if you're a DIYer and you're working in your own house, it's a bit of a fail-safe way. Now we know that's what the wall would look something like when it's completely dotted. You let that set, you let it go off, and then I'll show you the next part.
A few moments later.
All your dots are set, and then you come with your dabs. Now, you need to make sure your dabs are more proud than your dots. Now, if you're working on a new build, then good chance the house is going to get pressure tested. So you need to picture frame your walls, which means you need a solid band of adhesive right around everything to make that wall, once the board's on it, like an air bubble. This is not the same situation as a new build. This won't be getting pressure tested, so we're just going to do it the normal way, where you just put your dabs on the wall. Now this is what plasterers usually do. They don't bother with all these dots. Some plasterers put massive big dabs on the wall, loads like that, you know, but I mean, it's fine if you're not buying the adhesive, but it doesn't need that. I think of it when I'm putting dabs on the wall, I'm going to put dabs everywhere on a screw. So imagine that's a full board. If that was a studded wall, I'd want sort of 2 studs in the middle. So I'd put a row of dabs down here like this, you know, and then another stud, so down here. Right, so this is probably the slowest system in the world. You've got all your dots all lined in, they're all levelled off and they're all set. You put your dabs in the middle, hence the term dot and dabbing. Now all you've got to do is put your plasterboards back on the wall. You don't even need a spilt level. You can just use a piece of wood. You just try to push the boards back and they won't be able to go back any further than the dots that you've already set. And that's it. It's just a fail-proof way. Now, plasterers, being as smart as we are, we adapt and overcome and progress. We discovered, probably by someone blagging it, pretending they put the dots in and saying, "Oh, I've dot and dabbed the wall." Really, they just put the dabs on and got it as straight as they could, and probably figured out we don't really even need the dots anymore. Hence, nobody does dot and dabbing. Everybody in the world now just does dabbing, but this way of dot and dabbing is probably a very simple way for the DIYer not to get it wrong. I mean, it's very easy to adjust these when they're on the wall. If they're not right, it's very easy for you to just pick them in and out, rather than when you've got a board on the wall and you can't see behind it and you've knocked it too far in or something's gone wrong. A DIYer, this would be ideal for them, and that's how you do it. Let's put the boards on now because it's going dark. I want to get out of here. I don't even have to check it for level because it's only gone back to the dots and they're already levelled in. That's it. So I know the wall is spot on. As soon as that board can't go back any further, that's it. I use my skimming trowel for dabbing. Don't tell me Dad. He used to hate us using skimming tools for dabbing. You've got to have a separate dabbing trowel, okay? A cheap one, because this stuff have been ruins trowels if you don't wash it off fast enough. So if you're going to use your good skimming trowel, make sure if you're using adhesive that you get it washed off. And for God's sake, don't let my old fella catch you dinging it on the wall. knocking it all out of shape because he'll go crazy. Think about this. Does it really matter that that's in line over there? I mean, just in this situation, probably not. So if you were just dabbing, if you hadn't stringed it in, then, you know, you wouldn't know this. But let's say, for instance, someone puts a row of tiles and there's a cut right on that wall. You'll be able to see when the skirting board's on that that bit's sticking out, whereas with this way, you know it's absolutely perfect because you've ran a string line across. So you know it's perfect, it won't be stacked down. This is just a little wall to demonstrate. If I had a bigger wall to show you, it'd be better. I mean, because this system works for as long as you, I mean, how long's a piece of string? That's how long you can get the wall absolutely perfect. Notice as well, we were quite lucky. There was timber already attached here, so I've screwed the board to the bottom of it, which catches and holds the board that sits on the top of it. If you didn't have that underneath, what we used to do on the site is just knock a big nail straight through the board and straight into the mortar to sort of hold the board up till it sets. Or you can put a prop underneath it, or a piece of wood, or a teak. I mean, there's all sorts of ways you can do it. You can put a little screw in each side to support it. Fortunately, we've got a piece of wood, so we don't have to worry about that. We'll just sit it on the board, and I've already screwed to the bottom and cut over to carry the weight of the board. That is how you dot and dab a wall. It's a slower way of doing it than just dabbing the wall, but now you know the difference. Now, I don't personally dot and dab walls, I just dab them because it's faster, but I know exactly what I'm doing. So if you're a beginner, maybe you could do it this way, because it is a lot easier if you don't know what you're doing, but it's just slower. It's not the fastest way of doing it at all, and that's why plasterers never dot and dab walls. But most plasterers, as I said to you before, they don't know that that is what dot and dabbing is, because it's old school. It was from like the 1930s or something when they first invented plasterboards and started using them. Now, the whole system of using dots, that comes from when they used to dot to put screeds in, and then they would put, it's a different subject for a different video, but the mindset, that's where the idea of dots came from. It originally came from screeding. You'd dot the wall, you'd fill in the middle with a load of plaster and rule it off to the dots and let it set, and that'd be your screed. And you do a couple of these and you'd fill the bays in between and you'd rule off your screeds. When they used to do wet lining, we do dry lining now. When they used to wet line rooms with sand and cement, that's how you'd screed the room to get it absolutely perfect and plumb. Guys, anyway, as always, if you like that video, give us a thumbs up. If you think it could help someone else, feel free to share it. Whatever you choose to do. Thanks for watching. It's a slower way of doing it. It's a slower way of doing it. And if you're still here because you're enjoying the content, probably the next thing you want to know is how to skim a wall. And that'll be covered in this video here. Cheers.